this is not usually covered in most conferences, and I thought this is very important because, we need practical ways how to manage diabetes. And we heard two fantastic people, Dr. Srikanth and Dr. Sunil M. Jain, doing genuine work and how they are practicing and how they've evolved. So this is what I thought, usually not there in diabetes conferences. But I thought this is something very important that we should all start sharing our wonderful experience like this and learn from inspirational stories like this. I think over to the chairpersons and maybe ask your first question.
My question to Dr. Sunil Jain, in which language do you transfer the information to your patients? Because of the different languages are used in India.
Currently it is Hindi and English, but we may need to do it for 13 languages in future. But this is the first step. It is the first step towards transferring the knowledge. And if there is a language issue, understand this is a tool. Suppose you got the information, you can make your own video also on that in local language and also can be placed on the same tool.
Have you come across any legal issues with this kind of, transferring the patient's data and all that? Any legal issues involved any time?
So you are not doing anything.
No, will the patient record all this, and in case if he wants to sue or something like that, will he go to the court and these are the
Court
things
for
that
what?
happen? No,
Court he
anything
will
happened.
go
He
if
might
you have not
followed.
transferred him. Try to understand my point. There was an interesting case of hypoglycemia in PGI, you are aware? One patient went to court for a hypoglycemia and insulin therapy. PGI won the case, Chandigarh. But this is the case. Now, if you did not transfer information to the patient, then you are in a problem stage, right? In fact, through this technology, you are transferring them the knowledge, how to manage hypoglycemia, how to inject insulin. So you are not giving treatment to them, you are empowering them. You are educating them in the right way. So I feel that there is no as such legal issue here. But in general, whenever they download an app, there is always a section which they have to tick before they download. There is a disclaimer by default.
I want to ask you, how safe is the softwares we are using for practicing, writing prescriptions, the data?
No, prescription, there are many softwares. I did not say to you the prescription part. See, that's your zone to manage practice day to day. I am trying to give you a solution to make your patient satisfied. Suppose a patient comes to you and asks you many things about कि दवाई क्यों लेना जरूरी है ये वो, ठीक है? You answer them. You answer them 3 times a day. So rather you just tell them, okay, see, do this testing. See this video also I have shared with you. You can make your own also, what you speak daily. Tell them at the time of report, I will answer your point. But before that, please see this video. And I tell you, when you will come at the time of report, he will not ask you any question because his problem is solved. So it's a time management tool. And since you are talking, suppose, or something which is talked for their interest, then they will be happy with that. That's what we are doing it already. So once I start a basal insulin or GLP-1 analog I want to start, I tell them during waiting time, please see this video. Or I make sure that they see video. And now when they meet us again, then their discussion points become too small, too short.
This app regarding the app is okay, but the software, if we use online software, how it is safe?
I think your question is, if you use an online software, what is the legal issue? Because now there are a lot of prescription forms of online software.
So you, by law, you know that you cannot prescribe medicines online. So you are not supposed to prescribe a medicine through email, WhatsApp or any other thing. So we are supposed to prescribe treatment only when patient is in front of us. But to write a prescription, there are many softwares, you can use it. That doesn't matter. Right? Now there are many companies who are providing you softwares to write prescription. The only issue is your data, they are also watching, that's all. But there is no legal issue in that. But they can utilize, they know what you prescribe daily.
The thing is that you don't change the doses on this app. Like suppose patient,
This is,
No.
in this technology, when we created, currently at my center, we have made it one way. We have not kept the chatting option, though admin has it. If some doctors is too interested, then we just have to tick in the admin and now you patient can communicate to you if you want, but most of the doctors don't want this.
You have research facilities at your centers, all of you. Since there are some guidelines which say that any research center should be attached to minimum 50 bedded or 75 bedded hospital, and that's the criteria. So we don't run that many bedded hospital. So that's the first question. Another question is, since you said that any patient of insulin is at the risk of hypoglycemia, and he may file a case against us, and we only advise orally that there is a risk of hypoglycemia, keep chocolates with you, any sweet with you. So do we need to write in prescriptions in advice that there is a risk of hypoglycemia in each and every patient taking OHA or insulin? So these are two questions.
First question, clinical trials have been done 10 years back in a very liberal way in India, and even small clinics also, because of the CROs, SROs, they did a lot of unethical practices. Just it became a financial exercise. Because of that, DCCI has come into picture and then tried to regulate it in a very strict manner. And after that, they made all these regulations. And 50-bedded hospitals and all those things. Why? Because in small clinics, advanced drugs are being tested. Okay, the patient may have land up in ICU, emergency or kind of things, and the clinic is not able to provide that kind of support. So doing a clinical trial in the name of whatever generation research and all, it has become more of a financial exercise. Now, keeping a ethics committee of your own institution. Previously, ethics committee was somewhere else. You can have outside third-party ethics committee. Now, you are not supposed to have that. You have to have your own ethics committee. You need to have a 6 or 3-bedded ICU and 50-bedded hospital, and everything has to be compliant before you really start off the trials. And we started initially, stopped in between, but once, luckily, we have a 50-bedded hospital. Though in endocrinology, nobody can fill 50 beds, but luckily because of the surgeons, because of this thing, at least we will fill 30 to 40% of the patient bed strength.
So do we need to do any MOU with any hospital?
Actually,
So-
then if you want to do a clinical trial, become a part of that hospital, get whatever is compliances required in that particular hospital, be a consultant in that hospital, and then do it there. That's not a problem. But either you upgrade your setup to a clinical trial standards.
I suggest you, see, I have done a lot of clinical trials, and I was the person who went to Delhi, Government Ministry of Health, and because of that, this 50-bed clause is now removed. Now it's 20-bedded is needed at the most with the emergency facility. Either no bed is also needed, but I tell you that this is not the time to do clinical trials in India. Please more focus on diabetes practice. This is a very small zone, practically disappearing. A lot of negative media news. And coming to your hypoglycemia and legal question, see, there are so many legal things in practice, right? Diabetes में तो बहुत कम है. कार्डियोलॉजी एंड सर्जन्स की अगर वो हम इतना लीगल थिंकिंग से बात करेंगे तब तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट होगा. बट सपोज द पेशेंट इज सिटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू टू whom you should be extra careful, then at least do documentation whatever you can do. That is my suggestion.
I think for every insulin patient, you must explain hypoglycemia, and you must, if you think that, as Dr. Jain said, if you think that patient is not understood or you are not very sure of things, whether it communicated, make sure it is communicated but document it. And as both of them said, go for clinical trials if you have all the infrastructure and if you meet all the regulatory requirements. But this is only for clinical trial research. Supposing you want to do some epidemiological study, you want to audit your results, those kind of studies are allowed. If you are doing drug trials only, you require 50 beds or 20 beds and ICU and all that. If you want to see how many patients in your clinic have got normal HbA1cs, that sort of research is allowed. I'm just making it simple, so you still can do that research.
For example, in this app, hypoglycemia, we just click. A 4-minute video goes for hypoglycemia. He sees it. He understood it. Things become simple for you.
Fine, sir. Thank you.
I have an individual practice, so I do HbA1c for all my patients. But does it has to be signed by a pathologist? What is the legal?
Usually, the regulations say that it has to be, every lab has to be signed and authorized by pathologist or a biochemist. But if you go on that way, none of the reports are validatable. So, and NABL accreditation, these are all standard exercises to increase, but in a small setup, caring for a small patient population who cannot afford any quality exercise will increase your cost dramatically by at least 1 lakh to 2 lakhs per month. You need to have a consultant. You need to do QC every day with abnormal values, one in the higher value, one in the lower value. And in spite of, sometimes what happens is for rare tests, for example, if I am doing FSH or QC, what happens for 30 days, almost 90 samples are consumed in QC and only 10 tests I will be consuming. So you need to have very high level of turnover. So these are all impractical. So what is most important is legal and practically is not much existent in diabetic practice. So you don't think about too much of legal thing. Be what is right for the patient and do it. So, and if you are giving not for the sake of legality, but just ensure that whatever QC is done in your lab where you are sending, at least you are taking decision based on a right report. Because you are trying to base all your decisions. If somebody gives a very high A1C, though they have a normal, you end up making a patient into hypoglycemia. All these things is very important. So be right, but don't put too much of figure. Just
I can sign that report and give
yeah,
it,
you
because
can.
legally
If you
it's
have
not
personalized supervised, I think in my lab, initially I used to do signing by myself, and I have a senior biochemist. And now we have a dedicated lab director and QC expert, so we don't have a problem.
Thank you, sir.
Only my comment will be, do your work and pray. That's it. If it becomes a litigation matter, all what we are talking will go away. Then the Drug and Cosmetic Act, so many things will come. So do your good work and pray for the best.
Okay, I do appreciate Dr. Jain for your continuous trust for technology and all. I've got a question. If you are using other EMR, EHR in your clinic, can your software extrapolate the data from that third-party software? Or second question is that I do not agree when you are using the cloud computing and cloud database. Cloud is, I think it's totally safe and password protected. Nobody else can see your data. It's like Facebook and Google.
I understood. The question is cloud for example, for practice aid, we have to have 1,000 clinics. Then we cannot manage these servers. So from technology point of view, cloud will be the best thing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, whatever data are coming, we can watch it. We can watch them. You may have your password, but finally the data are coming which we can watch. Now, in my technology, in our technology, I understand the concern of doctor. That's how we don't collect any contact data from the patient, and what they are prescribing is not our area. Otherwise, whatever you are doing, what I got your question that suppose take an example of Practo software and a doctor is prescribing. You have a password and you think that nobody is seeing that data? Wrong. Practo knows everything, every patient what you are doing.
Then it's a cyber crime.
You have
It's a
already
cyber
signed
crime.
an agreement with them before you went on it. It's not a crime.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
have
If that's
agreed. No, it's not a
cheating you with your data.
No, it's not a cheating. Please understand this. They come to you, they get an agreement signed from you. You had given an agreement, you have given a consent that you can see my data, then how you can say it is a crime? In that case, you just go back and see your agreement, then you will understand what I am telling you.
Okay, sir, I'll check it.
Actually, if any online apps which can give this kind of software for 1,000 rupees, 1,500 rupees and all, obviously their interest is market driven. They wanted which doctor is writing which particular prescription and which drug is more this thing. They wanted to understand some global trends of how sulfonylurea is faring, which is decreasing, which is increasing, so that they can do a market research or may selectively target a doctor for the sake of doing some whatever needs to be done.
So
We'll
about
take
the
one
software,
last question.
about the software, is this a universal software? Means I mean to say the software is different for a doctor and for the patient, or is the same?
No, this is a technology to transfer your views in a easy way. See, repeatedly you are telling the same thing. So I am just giving you a easy solution, and in addition, all these diet work, in addition to your nutritionist educator working, going in an automatic way. So okay, at the end many times 10-year, 15-year duration patient, and he asks you again, sir diet का भी तो थोड़ा बता दो. Okay, 2 line बोल दो और साथ में एक app पे transfer कर दो. Patient is also happy, you are also happy.
So the app is same. The app
The
will
app
be
is
same.
same app will,
Same.
means you have, see, patient will have mobile, you have the computer. So from on your login, you just click the patient's name, and now you have the options what you want to share with the patient. And the same thing will be shared to the patient, but you obviously need a Wi-Fi.
Thank you.
So my question is to Dr. Jain, sir. According to right now, keto diet is the fam right now, sir. So in your app, keto diet instructions are there?
So see, if someone wants, it can be very easily created. So if someone wants, because it will be too easy. Because there we need not to apply much of brain. A very standard format of diet has to be placed. So if some requests come, we can order them and it can be placed like a keto diet chart.
So because
So not a big deal. Currently it is not there.
So there is some essential fatty acids. There are some essential amino acids, but there are no essential carbohydrates. So according to Indian diet, sir, can something be happen according to this way?
So carbohydrates are not essential. You understand physiology. Because of that, they are non-essential.
But one last question, sir. What is the cost of your app?
Sir,
and
you
what
may
is
ask
the-
this question personally. On behalf of audiences, we as a chairperson like to thank all the 3 speakers to make this session very interesting and practically more beneficial for the all clinicians. Thank you, sir.